Sorry, 1 second. All right, so if we click checkout now, it's going to take us to this login page. And if we look at that request, it's just a GET request on this login page, and it's not actually necessary for the purposes of this bot because we don't actually need anything from it. So we're just going to clear everything out and press continue as guest. So we're going to do a guest checkout and just press checkout. And now we have a few requests up here. We see a bunch of stuff to like Facebook and stuff because they're selling our data. But we have this checkout request. And this request is pretty much the first request in the checkout that's important. So as we start filling in our information, so I'm going to use email@gmail.com. We're going to start seeing like random stuff over here, but it's not really important. Like if you look here, you'll see script or you'll see GIF. That's not really important. All we really want to see is those get and post requests, which are generally called document in terms of their type. So let's fill out this information. All right, so now we're up to the payment. So before we continue, I'm going to talk about privacy.com, which is pretty much one of the greatest blessings for testing your bots. So essentially what this is it's a website where you can kind of create these cards with whatever limit you want, and you connect it to your bank account, and you give it a nickname and whatnot, and then you can use these as kind of like burner cards. And so for testing, this is great because we can just like create a card with a $1 purchase limit, so that when we check out, whether it's through the browser or when we're actually testing our script, we can check this website's declines tab. And if it actually went through, then we know that our script was successful. So if we see a decline, that means it was successful, because we've set this limit. So if you don't feel like donating, you can help me out by signing up for this using this refer link, which is also in my stream description under like the PayPal donation tab. You'll get some money, I'll get some money. So yeah. So basically once you connect this to your bank account, you can just create a new card by clicking this new card thing. And then I don't know, name it test, I guess, and let's give it a $1 spend limit per charge. So I'm gonna create this in a bit and just use it in our checkout, but this $1 test limit is pretty much the most important part of this, because if you forget to put a limit, then you're actually going to have your payment go through, and you don't want that. So because these are all like test purchases that you're making while you're writing your script, so make sure that you actually put this $1 test charge or test spend limit in. So I'm going to create this. I have this card, and now I'm going to put it in here. And 424. Alright, and now when I press review my order, I'm gonna delete this card now. So we get this confirm and this checkout. So this is the first post request we're seeing. So basically, this post request is everything that we've just told the server. So if we go down to the form data, this is all the information. We have the email, the phone number, first name, last name, address, blah, blah, blah. and then the card information. So this is basically telling the server, I'm checking out, and this is all my information. So you guys know where to ship it and what card to bill and whatnot. And then we have this request on confirm, and that's just this page. So if we look back at this request, everything here makes sense except for one thing. This form build ID. It looks like it's just a random string, but basically what it is it's a token that gets generated every time you visit the page that we were just on, this checkout page. And that's kind of to protect the website from bots, but it doesn't really work that well. So all it is just a token that's found on this page. So we're going to copy this word right here, and we're going to search for it in the page. And notice that we don't find anything. That's because it's kind of hidden in the page. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to look at the page source, which is like the unrendered HTML code. So to do this, we're going to right-click the page and press View Page Source. And now if we search for it again, we'll find two things. So now we have to figure out which one it is. And if we look here and we kind of just search around, we can see that this kind of says sign in. So this is probably a form build ID for the sign in form. So we're probably looking for the second one. And if we look back at the value, it says form dash and then a bunch of characters. And so if we look at the value here, we're going to see form dash a bunch of characters. So that's what we're going to be looking for in our script. It's going to come in handy later. So if we go back to our confirmation page, we can see that the next request for this confirmation page is a GET request. And the page probably doesn't have anything important on it, but just in case, we're going to press View Page Source, and if there's a form build ID at any point, then we can come back and look at that. So I'm going to close these other tabs, and so let's press Purchase now, and let's clear out all these requests. So the first thing we notice is this big red bar at the top, which says that the payment or the credit card cannot be authorized. And that's a good thing because it means our purchase did not go through. But what we can do is we can look at the final step for the checkout. So if we look at the requests, we have a few requests to Facebook and other websites. And then we have our final confirmation post request. And so this has a form build ID and a form ID. So the form ID is just, it's going to stay constant every time, but the form build ID similarly is, it's going to be some kind of token on the page we were just on. So good thing we just opened this page source, because now we can do the same thing, press Control F and look for form build ID. And we have two things again. This one's part of the sign-in form, so we probably don't need that one. This second one, we have some value, and that's going to come in handy later as well. So that's it. And with some practice, figuring out which requests are necessary and which aren't is going to be pretty easy. But sometimes, like, in order to get or set certain cookies that the site requires in order to successfully check out, you'll have to make a GET request on a page and then move on, doing nothing with the response. But for Jimmy Jazz, it's pretty self-explanatory. So now we need to move into the coding. So in terms of basic Python review, there's only like a few things we have to look over. We're going to be using Python 2.7, but most of this stuff works with Python 3. I think the only main difference is how you print stuff out. But so if we look in our code, I'm just going to do some basic stuff. So let's print hello world. So that's how you print something out. If you want to define a function, you type def function name parameter 1, parameter 2, and so on, and then a colon, and then here's your function body, so let's just return hello. And then variables you can define using var name equals I don't know, 334, I guess. And then finally, if you want to define a list, it's just an open bracket and a close bracket. So let's call this list var. And if you want to define a dict or a dictionary, it's open squiggly brace, close squiggly brace. And then if you want to set like a key value pair inside a dictionary, you just have key and value like that. And if you want to add a key value pair, you can do open bracket, close bracket, and then key equals value. Alright, so that's pretty much it in terms of like what kind of coding stuff you'll need. So the two main modules we're going to be looking at are requests and BS4. BS4 stands for Beautiful Soup 4, and I have no idea why it's named that. But so requests allows us to make these get and post requests that I've been talking about, and BS4 allows us to go through a web page, like an HTML source text essentially, and find certain things in it. Like we can find the value of the input elements that we need in order to find those form build IDs. So if you notice that this is an input element, it's got a name of form build ID, and then the value, which is what we want, is part of that element as well. So in order to install these modules, you need to have pip installed. So pip is the most popular Python package manager, and it stands for pip installs Python, which is a recursive definition. But it allows you to like easily install official packages by simply typing something in the command line. So like for requests and BS4, all we have to do is type pip install requests. So this means that it's already installed. And then if we do pip install BS4, it's going to start installing this. So here we have some sort of error. So if you get a similar error, you're going to want to add sudo, which basically runs the command as the root user, and then pip install BS4. Alright, so successfully installed BS4. So, alright, so let's get started with our code. I'm going to open this workspace, which is on this website called Cloud9, which is basically an online visual interface for coding, and it gives you a nice little command line tool at the bottom, and you can have a bunch of different files open and whatnot. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to import our modules at the top. So for requests, we're just going to do import requests. And then to make things a little easier for ourselves, we're going to import a specific class from the BS4 module, which is called Beautiful Soup, and then we're going to import it as BS so we don't have to type out Beautiful Soup a bunch of times. So to do that, we're going to do from BS4 import Beautiful Soup as BS. Alright, so now we want to get started with our functions. So the first function that I mentioned at the start of the stream is a function to get the info about our product. So in this case, all we're going to need is the sizes in stock, because that's the only thing